Welcome back, hacker. So far we've learned about HTML tags, the basic structures of headings and paragraphs. We've learned a little bit about nesting. We've learned a little bit about anchor tags. And now we're going to continue forward with the introduction of CSS, or cascading style sheets, or styling, which is so much fun. So let's do a quick recap of the difference between HTML and CSS. We talked about this before, but I just want to rehash it out. So HTML, think of HTML again as basically the house. It's the structure of the house with my arrows. Look at that beautiful house, okay? It's the house, it's the structure, it's the foundation, it's the walls. CSS, or cascading style sheets, is the color. It's the color of the walls, it's the positioning of the windows, it's the type of granite that you have in the countertop. Oh, just so amazing, right? So CSS is the style, the design. HTML is the structure. Now you have to know HTML, the basics of it, before you can start playing with the CSS, or else it gets really, really complicated. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do styling. I want you to sit back and watch this, and then I'm going to give you a challenge at the end of this. Again, building blocks, but I'm going to explain the origins of CSS and give you a challenge at the end of it. So first things first is let's go into styling. So I'm going to create an H1 tag. Again, less than symbol. H1 is what we're creating. And then we are going to put a test. And then Matt Damon, stop it. Basics, right? We have this. This is memorized by now. So this is, it says test. It's in black. It's in a certain font, probably Times New Roman. And that's great. But not all the websites look like that. We want to make something different. We want to express ourselves. So the way to do this is you add styles. So there is an attribute for tags that is called style. So just like how we have our anchor tag attribute, right? It's an href, which we all know. And then it's describing, describing the link of where we want it to go. There's another type of attribute called style, which describes how this H1 tag looks. So for example, if I type in color yellow, which is going to be hard to see, it changes this to yellow. So what I have is I'm creating an H1 tag, I'm adding an attribute, the attribute is style, I'm equaling it to something, then I have a new type of syntax, a new way I'm typing things. I have color, which is what we call the property. That is what we want to change. We want to change the color of this H1 tag, and what we want to change it to is yellow. So I can change this to like blue, it's going to change this to blue. So we can add multiple. I can chain these together. So you'll see I have the colon, which is telling me, so color, what the color is. It's kind of like, think of the colon as being an equal sign. So in CSS or in styles, the colon is the equal sign. And then this semicolon is a new line. It's a new command. So first command, color. What color do we want? Blue. Second command, font size. What font size do we want? 10 pixels. Let's do something small. 10 pixels. Drastic change. Okay? So again, we have here, let's zoom out a little bit, style, attribute. We're equaling that to something. Now new syntax, something new. Color. What do we want it to equal? We want it to equal to blue. New attribute, new property, new property, how we want to describe this differently. Property number 2, font size. What size do I want it to be? 10px, which is pixels. So we'll go into pixels a little bit later, but this is just what I want to show you. So you'll notice that now, rather than having it be like this, so let's show some comparison. So I'll remove this information here. There's a difference, right? Now you'll notice though that I had to remove that, right? So if I wanted to create multiple, let's change these to H2s for proper programming. Let's say I wanted to create multiple H2s that all have the same color, and I'll make this size font like 30 pixels, and let's just zoom back in. So let's say I wanted multiple H2s. In the old days when I did the style like this, I would have to copy and paste like so. And let's say for whatever reason I get a phone call from my boss, and my boss says, hey, all the blue on the site, I want to change this to purple. Or let's say green, so something more drastic. I want to change it to green. Okay, well then I'd have to come in here and I have to type in green. And then I'd have to come in here and I have to type in green. Because you'll notice if I don't type in green, one is blue and one is green, which isn't very effective, right? So developers with the browser, they created this thing called a cascading style sheet. A cascading style sheet is what they call as CSS. So think of this as one file that holds all the information, all the properties of how this thing looks, how this page looks. And what that does is it allows us to do something like this. So we haven't got into file structure of a project yet, but it allows us to, let's imagine that we have one website page. This is the home page, and then we have the about page. And they're going to have the same designs on it. Rather than coming in here and typing out all of the color blues on all of these different ones, what we can do is we can have both of these pages point to a thing called a CSS sheet, or a cascading style sheet. So this cascading style sheet is going to have on it, it's going to have the color blue for the titles. So any page that links to this file here, if it has an H1 or an H2, it's going to have the color of blue. So what that allows us to do is it allows us to scale websites a lot faster without having to write a bunch of code over and over again. So if our client comes in and says, hey, I want all the colors to be green to purple now, I just have to change a couple lines of code rather than going through a whole website and doing the find and replace. So all of that to say is I want to show you that inline style. This is called inline styling. It exists, but I do not want you to get used to this. I don't want you to do it at all, actually. We're going to hop right into CSS. So I'm going to delete this stuff right here. And we're going to start off real slow. So now we're working all our building blocks. We have our HTML stuff in there now. Now let's start working on some CSS. So here's how CSS works, is that we have this other box down here. So I want to, in this CSS, I want to change all of these titles, title 1 and title 2, test 1 and test 2, to be blue. So rather than doing it inline, what I'm going to do is I'm first going to target something. What I'm going to target is, this is my target. I'm going to target H2. So notice that I am typing in what is between the less than and the greater than symbol, H2. Then I'm going to type in a space, and I'm going to do these mustache brackets. I like to call these curly mustache brackets. And in here, I'm going to type in color. Same thing as I was doing up above. Remember when I had the style equals and I had color and then blue. I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to say mustache brackets, color, blue, semicolon. So now, let's check this out. I have here H2 is the color blue, and this one's the color blue. So if I wanted to change this to, let's say, red, I'm going to change this to red. And boom, there it goes. If I want to have the font size be different, I can do font size. Again, semicolon is the end of that line, and it's going to start a new property, a new way of describing this. And the next line is going to be font size. Then I have this colon. So again, for colon for CSS is the equal sign. Colon equals equals. Colon equals equals. So this property, this font size, I want to change this to 50 pixels. Awesome. Very cool. Now, let's say I want to do the same thing, but I want to do it for an H3 tag. So I'm going to type in H3, heading 3, just so we can see the difference. Okay, so if I wanted to target this H3, I'm going to take whatever is inside, right after this symbol here, whatever is right after. In this case, it's H3, heading 3, H3, mustache brackets, color, purple, font size, let's say 16 pixels. So now we can see the difference. Again, property, what we want to change, colon, what we're changing it to. This is the building blocks. We can also do this for a paragraph. Let's do one more. Paragraph. I'm going to say paragraph because it's whatever goes right after this symbol here, the less than sign, space, mustache brackets, color, and then I will say yellow, which is going to be hard to read. Ugh, so hard to read. Okay, maybe not yellow. Let's go green. That's pretty hard to read. There you go. Awesome. Now we're starting to play with color. Oh my gosh, so much fun. I'm super excited for all of you. I love CSS. So let's get into this. What we're going to do is I'm going to give you a challenge now. This challenge is going to be a little bit different because I want you to repeat it multiple times. So here's the challenge. I want you to create a code pen. So I'm calling this challenge CSS or color/size challenge. I want you to create a code pen. And on this code pen, I want you to have an H1 tag and have the color be tomato and the font size be 24 pixels. Then I want you to create a paragraph, put some lorem ipsum in it, have a color be purple, have the font size be 18, and then I want you to do this 3 times. So here's what I really want you to do. Is first step, while you're doing this, set up a timer. Set up a timer, like a stopwatch, hit start, do this challenge. Then, whenever you're done with that, stop it, write down your time. Then, take a couple minutes, maybe take a little break, come back, do it again. Clock, start, stop, write down your time. I want to see if you improve, you get faster at it. The third time you do this again, do it a third time and start and stop and write down your time. I want to see if you improve, get faster. I hope that even if you get faster by 30 seconds or 10 seconds or 1 second, that's an improvement. But I want you to do this 3 times. Now, the way you can do this 3 times is that you can do the challenge and you don't have to create a new code pen. You can if you want to, but you can just select all of it and delete it. And I would actually recommend you doing it that way. The reason why is that you should not marry your code. You should be okay with deleting your code. It is 100% going to happen in your career where you're going to have written all of this code and you're like, oh my gosh, I have this huge logic issue. I have to just scrap it all. And it might feel like failure at first, but it's not failure. It's a learning experience. You're going to get better and quicker. And you're not going to make the same mistakes. So I want you to practice that. I want you to practice not marrying your code. So you're going to create this challenge, time yourself, delete it, do it again, do it again. And on the third time, you'll keep it. I'm super excited for you. I can't believe you made it this far. Actually, I can because you're incredible. And I want you to keep moving forward towards that career that you want. Coding is not that hard. It is simple. You can do this. Let's keep going. And I'll see you in the next election. Oh my gosh. Next lesson. That's what I was looking for.